Thank you for joining me today on Sew Kodiak Life. And I am here to show you how to sew one of my most favorite purses. I've been really fortunate with this purse. This is a purse that you can download the pattern. I'll put the link in. The pattern is from Huff'n Cuff, and the purse is called the Koda Cross Body Bag. And I'm going to show you my purse. This is a purse that I use every day. I've been using it for years and years. So this purse, you can roughly see the size. It's roughly about 10 inches by 10 inches. And there's all kinds of different variations that you can make with this purse. So this purse comes with a very large zipper pocket. And you can put all kinds of things in there. Of course, the straps to carry the purse. In the center pocket, you can put quite a few things. And then I even added, in this particular one, an additional zipper pocket inside. And then on the back side of the purse, I used blue jean material. And I also have an embroidery machine, so I embroidered a whale on it, and then yet another pocket. So for this purse, you can adapt it to so many different pockets. You kind of can choose what you like. I'm going to kind of go over the basic pattern here today with you. So my friend needs a purse. She's going to go to a blues concert. And I'm going to make her a purse that goes along with her outfit. The directions from Huff'n Cuff are excellent directions. You can follow the pattern directions. And she also has made a YouTube video that you can follow along on the basic purse. So because I sew so many of these purses, it's a little bit hard to see under the camera, but my husband has a CNC machine, and he made me a template for the Koda purse out of plexiglass. And this is my go-to purse. I've probably made hundreds of these purses. So the first thing that I do is you're gonna wanna cut out the pattern out of your main fabric, and you're going to want to interface it. I interface mine with the Pellon SF101. I have made some of these interface with a fusible fleece. I've made some even with just some fusible batting. So it just kind of depends on the thickness that you want, but I have found that the Pellon SF101 is the best for me for everyday uses, and that's the Shape Flex. So you put that on your external, your main fabric, and then I actually just cut out 2 more pieces out of the main fabric. These are going to be not main fabric, but my lining fabric. The same size. I just do not put on the dart, because on the bottom of this bag, as you can see with the external piece, there is a dart, and so I don't put it on 2 pieces for my pockets, because what happens is when we go to put on our pocket, your pocket will end up being the same size as the purse. So I don't know about you, but sometimes with sewing purses, the thing that takes the longest often is cutting out all these little pieces. So that saves me some time. And then I cut out 2 more pieces of the pattern, and I do put on the dart. And this is going to be for my lining. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could add an extra pocket here. You could add an extra pocket on both sides. For today's sewing tutorial, I am Not going to add a pocket for inside of the bag. So once you have those pieces cut out, I also just take a strip of the external main fabric, and I make that strip about 1.5 inches, and usually have some sections left over. These are all just little sections cut at about 1.5 inches, and we're going to use these little pieces here today for making the purse. So the pattern will tell you, cut out a rectangle this size and cut out a rectangle that size, but I save some time just by cutting out 1.5 inch long strip, as long as you have left of your fabric. I do a little interfacing with a small amount of Pellon SF101, and I'm ready to go. So the first thing that I'm going to talk to you about with this pattern is we're going to go over the zippers. So you're going to need 3 zippers for the basic pattern. One zipper I make at 9.5 inches. Actually, I did this one at 9 inches. So my pattern is slightly enlarged from the original pattern made by Huff'n Cuff for the Koda purse. And a couple of small changes I made. These are the little tabs for the top zipper, the bottom zipper tab. I use a number 5 zipper. I cut it 9 inches long. That's going to be for my top zipper. And then the main body bag zipper, which takes 2 of them. Again, I use a number 5 zipper, and I cut that at 8 inches long. And my body bag is 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches, which is slightly larger than the directions, because her bag is 10.25 by 10.5 wide. And I found that making it that same size, I don't have to worry about getting my pattern set incorrectly. That'll make more sense as we continue on in this video. So I'm going to take, this is my 9-inch zipper. I think the ruler might show up a little bit better. And what I've done is I've taken one of the small pieces of fabric, I folded it in half, I folded it in half, and I folded it in half. So once I put my zipper on, which I'm going to do my zipper head in just a moment, I'm going to burn the edge, and that's going to stop this from unraveling here. So you just take a lighter or a candle. If I'm doing a whole bunch, I'll end up taking a candle. But that's after you've put the zipper head on. And then the little tabs that I've made, these little tabs will go right over the end. And as you can see, this is why I'm telling you, you don't have to do exact measuring, because as long as the tab is long enough, then you can just trim this little edge off. So I'm going to start with my 9-inch zipper. This is a little zipper head jig that I like to use. And here is my 9-inch zipper pull. So I'm going to put it into my jig. And my zipper is on there. So then I just take the lighter, burn, do a little burning, and then I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew on my tab. So there'll be a tab on this end, and there's going to be a tab on the other end. So I'm going to look at the other two zippers that I need for the main body. So these zippers are cut at 8 inches long. And we also will want to put on a zipper head. So I'm going to do that step right now. I've sewn these also where I don't always use a number 5s. I've used a number 3 zipper for the pocket, this body pocket. So just so you can see a little bit how this goes in to this jig, which I'll put a link for. And you kind of curve your edges. And I pull down, and voila, I have my zipper on, my zipper pull. So once you have your zipper pull on, you're going to take another small tab piece. You're going to want the main fabric to be facing the zipper where the teeth are. And as long as it is long enough that it's covers the whole width of the zipper, it'll be just fine. So I'm going to pin it right here. Not pin it, I'm actually going to use a clip. I'll do the same for the other side. But I need to make sure, you know, the step I did not do, so I need to use the lighter. Okay. And so once I've sewn this on, I'm going to take my sewing machine. I'm going to sew at like 1/4 of an inch along. Then I'm going to pull this back so you can see how it's going to be. It's okay. I think this dark fabric for my friend might make it a little hard to see. And then I'm going to do the top stitching on top. So you will end up with needing 2 8-inch zippers is what I use, but it follows the pattern and the zippers are at a little bit different length, but this you do it the same way. And then I have a 9-inch zipper that's going to be for the very top of the purse. So I'm going to pause. I'll come back in just a few minutes after I've done this step at the sewing machine. All right, so I'm back from the sewing machine and I have finished up my zippers. So you can kind of see what that looks like. Like I told you, my tab here is a little bit wider than my zipper, and that's fine because I can show you. I'm going to tidy that up here in just a few moments. So my zipper for the main zipper of the purse. The zippers for the body. And here's the other zipper for the body. And then, you know, usually I'll just give them a little test. So usually that's where I start. I get my zippers ready. And so if your zipper comes over the edge here. All right, so the next step is to take your fabric and you're going to want to count down 3 inches, and then you're going to want to cut your fabric. So what you'll end up with is a piece that's 3 inches wide and then the other section of your fabric. And this is where we're going to make our zipper. So you take your bottom piece and then you can obviously fold this in half, find your center point, find the center point of your main fabric with the teeth down. You're going to want to center your zipper on there. You'll take one of the lining pieces, which I said I cut out the same size as the bag and the lining. I just did not add the darts. Make it so that both pieces are facing each other. You're going to want to pin and sew on your zipper. So I've already did that step. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back from the sewing machine, and I have sewn on my zipper. And this is what I was telling you, like my tab right here is a little long, but I can just trim that right there. All right. So then the next step is to flip the pocket over. I'm going to want to, with my iron, do some pressing, and then I'm going to top stitch along this edge. Okay, so I'm back, and I have done my top stitching. So you want to take the lining piece. I'm gonna, I'll put it this way. And so let me show you that orientation again. So here's my project. I'm gonna flip it over, bring my lining right up against my zipper. And so this is going to end up being our pocket. Flip it back over. Take the 3-inch piece that you cut off earlier, and with right sides facing, I'm going to flip it on, flip it over. So you're going to end up with having, here's my pocket piece. Then I have my zipper, and then I have my little 3-inch piece. You clip along the edge. I use, like I said, I like to use lots of clips. That's my Portuguese water dog that's downstairs crying. So both of my Portuguese water dogs, I gave them, my husband and I gave them a bath this morning, and they're downstairs drying because tomorrow we'll take them out to the wood shop and give them their haircuts. So I'm just going to take my zipper foot, sew along nice and slow, and then I'll be ready to flip it and top stitch. Okay, so I sewed on that 3-inch piece, then I flipped it, and then I did my top stitching here. So at this point, you have one panel completed. So you'll complete the second panel in exactly the same manner. Also, I did a small little basting stitch to hold my pocket flat. And that basting stitch should be at like 1/8 of an inch. So now you can see and open my pocket, and I have this really great deep pocket there. And so you'll have two of these really nice pockets on each side of the outside of the purse. And then the top of the purse will have a nice big pocket. Okay, so I am back, and at this point you should have two of the external pieces done for the outside of the purse. So we have our zippers installed. And at first I was thinking about not adding a zipper pocket inside of the purse, but then I thought, you know what? I love pockets. I'm going to give another pocket to my friend. So on one side of the lining, I put my little tag in the center. And on the other side of the lining, I'm going to build a zipper pocket. So for this zipper pocket, I have this nice little template tool. Not that you need one, but looking at the size of the bag, probably a 7-inch zipper is as large as a zipper as I'm going to be able to put inside. And I selected, this is just a 3mm craft zipper. Usually I make sure I check them to make sure that they're working perfect. Let's see. Do I have enough room? Oh, I'm gonna have to, I found a little scrap of fabric here. And I think actually I'm gonna give my friend, just seeing how much I could use, she's gonna get a little 6-inch zipper, just enough to maybe put a few coins in there. So both pieces of fabric, you need to find the center, and I just do a little finger crease. And this piece of the lining has a finger crease. And these are not interfaced. You can interface them with some really lightweight interfacing, but I don't think that they need it. So with my fabrics facing each other, this is going to be the top where my zipper is going to be at. Up here, my main zipper. So I'm going to probably want to go down. I'm going to go ahead and place this at 2 inches down. Place my template, which has a center mark on it. Take a marker. Hopefully this marker is going to work. I draw my box, which is a 1mm box on there. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew all the way around this box. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went to my sewing machine. I sewed a box all the way around where I drew with my marker, well, my pen that's erasable. In the corners, I'm going to draw a couple of little arrows, and you can connect them. Now I think, you know, when you've done this enough times, you don't need to do this step. So I'm going to cut on the center. It's pretty close to the center. And usually what I do is I just make a small snip. Get my scissors out. Cut straight down the center. Okay. And then now I'm going to want to cut into my corner, but I do not want to snip my thread. So you just have to be really careful when you're cutting here. You're going to want to cut as close as you can to the stitching without going through. So I also left myself it's about 1 inch of material above my box. So again, about 1 inch there. So the next step is going to be you push this through. And you can see here this is going to fold over. So I have made my little pocket here. And this does take a little bit of fidgeting to get this all to be flat. Okay, then you're going to want to go, once you have everything straightened out, you're going to want to go over and give this a really good press. So I'll be right back. All right, everyone. So I am back. And what I did is I sewed my rectangular box all the way around the zipper. So when I flip it over, you can see what it looks like. So I'm going to want to take my scissors here and I'm going to want to snip that. And I'm going to want to do the same thing on the other side here. So I've cut down my zipper. I used a zipper that was way too long. So this can be, well, I don't think it's scary, but if I hold my zipper like this, and I take my lighter and just do 1, 2, 3. And I'm just kind of getting rid of anything and sealing up this nylon, because this is a nylon zipper and they can unravel a little bit there. So kind of hold it up. And then you're done. Okay. So we're not all the way done with the pocket. You can see that it opens and it shuts. Everything looks great. So now I'm going to flip the project back over. I'm going to take the bottom piece of the fabric. I'm going to bring it all the way up. And I'm going to do some pinning. And like earlier in the video, I told you, you know, this is where you can like add in all kinds of different pockets. And I think I'll probably do some videos on just how to do various types of pockets. So this is from the back side. So when I go over to my sewing machine, you're going to want to make sure that you're not sewing your lining fabric where the pocket is. So I'm just going to come along and sew. Again, I'm going to want to make sure this is pushed down. And then I'm going to continue to sew. Turn at my corner. Make sure that my lining fabric, I'm not going to sew that into my pocket there. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have sewn all the way around, you can see the pocket here. Oh, and you can see like right here, I probably want to come, I'm checking my stitching and I had a little pucker right here. So I'm going to want to do a little extra sewing right there. So I always do check my sewing. And then now there's going to be this really nice little pocket inside of the purse. Nice for a nice teeny wallet or just a little bit of money or coins in there. So now we are to yet another stage. So I'm going to go back to my two main panels here. So I use webbing. I just really like the black webbing or any color of webbing that you would like. And you need to measure out 6 inches of the webbing. And this is 1 inch webbing. Now you can see with my ruler here that this is only 3 inches. But you take a 6-inch piece, you fold it over, run it through your connector. Then I took some black thread and I did some sewing back and forth, back and forth. Now, later, to spice this purse up, I'm going to put in a rivet right here. But I have found that really you should put the rivet in later. When I've put it in before, it just makes it a little bit tighter of a sew. So you have 2 connector straps. So I'm going to talk now about how this purse is going to come together. So on my purse, and usually I take a straight line on my mat, and I'm going to want to come in, I usually come in 1 inch, but sometimes I come in 1.5 inches. So I think today I'll come in 1.5 inches. And I'm also going to go up 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches over and 1.5 inches up. And then I'm going to want to do a small basting stitch here. Now, the other side of the purse is going to need the same thing. So usually I put the purses, both pockets, panels I should say, facing each other. And my other connector went where? Oh, it's right in front of me. Okay. So they're facing each other. Then the same distance, I'm going to put on my other connector. And I'm going to base that in. So I'm going to come over 1.5 inches. And I'm going to come up 1.5 inches. And I'm going to do a basting stitch. So I'm going to go do that step and I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back and I have done my basting. So remember, when the purse comes together, these are going to be the straps on each side of the purse. And when I go to measure, like if I put the corner and make a right angle here, and I measure over 1.5 inches, and I measure up 1.5 inches. So make yourself a right angle, over 1.5 inches, up 1.5 inches, and your basting is like not even 1/8 of an inch. I mean, it is really, really close there. So we're getting closer to being done. So the next thing is to grab the top zipper that we made earlier. I did notice I put these on backwards, but that's fine. It'll work fine. So this is the zipper that we did at the very beginning of our project. So the zipper is going to go teeth down. I'm going to move this over a little bit. And you're going to want to place the zipper so it has the same amount of distance on both sides here. Because what's going to happen is we're going to come through here later and sew. And this one might actually be easier really to measure using metric. So it's about 1.5 centimeters on that side and 1.5 centimeters on the other side. And as you make more of these, you just start to get really good at eyeballing that distance. So the teeth are facing the main fabric. Then you take your lining piece, and you want your lining piece the right side to the right side, and you're going to make a nice little sandwich here. Now you'll notice that your lining piece will be a small amount shorter, and that's because we installed that number 5 zipper on the main panel. But it is such a small amount that it never causes a problem. So you don't, I've never had to compensate for that, adding that zipper in. So I just come along, and like I said, you're making a sandwich. My lining, my zipper, and then my external panel. So they're all three together right here to make this sandwich. Like I said, I like to use lots of clips. Right. So now, with my zipper foot, I'm going to come along. I'm going to back stitch. Go nice and slow. You're stitching right up against the zipper all the way down. And I do my zippers at like 2.4 is the stitch length. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I am back. And when you are sewing, when you get up against your zipper pull, you're going to have to stick your hand underneath there on your sewing machine and move it. So I'm sewing with my sewing machine. Remember, you're going nice and slow, and you'll probably have to move your zipper head out of the way and then bring it back. And also right here where where the strap connector's at, I go back and forth, back and forth. This extra part, you're going to see what I'll do with it at the end, because I end up putting a rivet in there to make the purse very, very strong. All right, so now I'm ready to do some top stitching. So I'm always doing so much ironing. But when I top stitch, it looks like maybe I wasn't perfectly centered there. Yeah, it might be off a little bit more on this side. That's okay, I'm going to compensate for that. So it must have slid a little bit, because you can see here I have a little bit more than I do over here. If that happens, don't worry, you're going to be just fine. All right, so now I'm going to come across here and I'm going to do my top stitching. Okay, so we're back again, and I came across and I did some top stitching. So now we're going to make another little sandwich. So I'm going to push that down. So you take your other panel, and this panel, you're going to want to push this down and you flip it upside down so that you have your two fabrics facing each other. So we're just making another sandwich here. And then I'm going to take my lining fabric. This is the one that I added the extra little pocket into. I'm placing it so it's facing my pocket. So let's go back over this. My lining is facing my lining. Then the next thing is the zipper. Remember, the teeth on the zipper should be facing the main fabric. So main fabric, zipper, lining. And you're just going to build this sandwich. I have to move it a little closer here. Together. And you just start pinning or clipping. So I would not, this project isn't super hard. I would not say it's a beginner project though. If you haven't put in some zippers and just sewn an easy zipper bag, then this project might be pretty challenging. So remember, inside, okay, you have to push down this connector. So now I am set to go sew in my zipper here. I'll be back. Okay, so I am back, and at this stage, we are getting really close to being done with the project. So now you can kind of see how it's going to come together here. This is where my straps are going to connect. And I will go back in and put some nice rivets here. And then this is the back side. So like I said earlier, I'm off a little bit here, but I just want to tell you it's gonna be okay. You sew enough of these and every now and then something slides, but at the end no one is going to notice it. So the next step is to do our darts. So the darts, you pinch in so the right sides are touching the right side. You're going to want to sew with your sewing machine, and I go forwards and I go backwards. You want to kind of curve in here. So you want to do all of your darts. So you have 8 darts that you're going to want to sew shut. The same thing on the main fabric here. I'm going to pull this together. Line this up. And I'm going to sew here. I'll see you back. All right, so I have sewn all of these darts here. Like I said, there's 8 of them. And you know, I go back and forth, and so this is what's going to give the bag the body. And so I just kind of check my quality of work, snip off any excess. So the last step, I mean, we are really almost done, is you want to make sure your zipper is open. What do you want to make sure? Your main zipper is open. Then you're going to take your 2 lining pieces. You're going to match up the darts. And usually, I kind of have one dart going one way and one going the other way. As long as they are lined up, it's going to be fine. Okay. So I'm going to line these up. Slip. So first I just do some rough pinning. So here I'm on the edge between the external fabric and the lining. And I want to take my finger and I want to push so that the lining pieces are together. And you also, if you can see, I'm making sure that these 2 pieces are perfectly matching. I'm going to put a clip right there. And then come around to the other side. And this is where I had that little slippage, but like I said, it's going to be just fine. No one's going to notice. So make sure that these 2 pieces here, do you see how I'm trying to make sure that they're lined up? And you put your clip. So you just come around, lining and clipping. I have to tell you, we have had such awful weather here on Kodiak. The wind has been blowing with, and we live up high, like gusts of 35, 45 mile an hour winds for like over a week. Huge winds and super duper cold. So I guess that's the payment plan for our beautiful, cool emerald isle in the summer. Okay, so I just keep on adding pins, clips, all the way around. So here in the bottom, I'm going to leave an opening to turn my project. Now, many times I do this by using a pocket. But today, I'm just going to turn it by using the lining. So you just keep on clipping all the way around. This is a little bit of a tedious, very tedious. And I'm going to just stop. I'll finish putting it together. And then you're just going to come along with your sewing machine, and at about 1/4 of an inch, you're just going to sew all the way around, remembering to leave this opening open. And I usually sew 2 times around the edge of this purse. So I'll be back when I have that part done. Okay, so I have done all the sewing, and like I said, I usually sew around twice, leaving that opening here for turning, and I do a little pressing. So I take my scissors and I'm just going to kind of round, oops, out of the picture, round these corners here. So, you know, I would rate this project, it's probably like an intermediate project, but I think, you know, if you have done some zipper bags and installed some zippers, you know, are probably ready to do this. So you can see I've curved that. And, you know, I always just go back and just, you know, really check my sewing to make sure that I haven't missed any. So remember, before I told you, you know, you're going to need to sew really close up against that tab here. And over here where I had that little slippage, I kind of came in and got really close there. So hopefully that won't be too noticeable. Like I said, with all of these bags, there's always some small goofiness that happens. So this is the part you're gonna turn it inside out, or right side out, and just try not to get too aggressive. I always get excited with this part because it's like, oh, I've been working so hard, and now I am almost there. All right, so I take my hand and put it inside. Now this doesn't have any square corners, but you can see how those darts are perfectly lined up there. So I just make sure that the darts are all situated. This is just adorable. And the same thing with my lining. And then you're going to want to come and close up your lining here. I'll do that in just a few minutes, because I really want to see how cute my friend's purse is going to look. So here on the edges, this is where I think I had, was a little bit wider than I wanted it to be, but it's all right. So I push this out on the corners. In this corner here also. Push down my lining. And of course, I'm going to need to, you know, do lots of ironing. But you can see this purse. I mean, so right here, there's our lining. and then inside. Okay, so I've done, I've turned the bag. I've sewn the bottom of my lining up in here. You can kind of see what that looks like inside of the bag. And then there's that neat little extra zipper pocket I decided to add. So I like to add a couple of rivets here. And so I measure down equal distance. I add a little bit of no fray or fray check. And then you can just take your rivet, maybe, unless you lose it inside of your purse. Ha ha ha. There we go. And put your rivet in. All right, so I have taken my can snap press and I added rivets here. So if you remember, when I installed the zipper, I came up 1.5 inches, so I had this big tongue that came out of my strap. So I have a rivet and a rivet and a rivet and another rivet. So this is a really strong little purse. So here's a cell phone. You can kind of get an idea of the size of this purse here. This is the Koda purse by Huff'n Cuff. And I have a zipper that's nice and deep from the outside. The other side has a wonderful zipper pocket. The inside, I went ahead and added an extra zipper for my friend. So there's yet another nice pocket in there. And then there is the main body. So for instance, here's a cell phone, and you can see that with the cell phone in there, it's not a huge purse, but this is like truly a go-to purse. And in these outer pockets, look, that cell phone will fit just fine in this outer pocket. So this purse has 2, 3, 4. So it has 2 on each side on the outside. And then it has the main zipper. And then it has another zipper. So there are so many places to store things in this little tiny purse. And like I said, this is my very own purse that I have used for years, and it holds absolutely everything. And you can add pockets wherever you would like on this purse, but it's that perfect size. It's not too big, not too small, and really you just don't need to carry anything other than what you can put in this purse. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, like and subscribe. I know it was kind of a long video, but there were a lot of things to do for this Koda purse. And I hope that you come back and watch me do another sewing project. Have a beautiful day.